Good morning, friends. Welcome to Good News for today, for Friday, December the 11th. Um, Today's theme is about leadership, and leadership's always been a very fascinating theme for me. I remember in my first parish as a young priest, well, it wasn't my first, maybe it was my second parish as a young priest, and one of the leaders came to my office one day and said, "What we need around here is strong leadership." Um, And I was still very much in learning mode about what leadership might mean. Um, Today's gospel is Jesus teaching about leadership. I've not, I've chosen not to read the whole of today's gospel. The first part of it is the Last Supper and Jesus instituting the Eucharist, the sign of bread and wine which we practice week by week. But I'm just choosing to read the last part of today's gospel, which is chapter 22 of Luke, beginning with verse 24. A dispute arose among them, that's the disciples, about which of them was to be regarded as the greatest. But Jesus said to them, "The kings of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those in authority of them are called benefactors. But not so with you. Rather, the greatest among you must become like the youngest, and the leader like one who serves. For who is greater, the one who is at the table or the one who serves? Is it not the one at the table? But I am among you as one who serves." The Gospel of Christ. I told a story in my daily reflection today, which I'll expand upon a little bit. I was privileged to work in healthcare for nearly 20 years. And at one hospital where I worked at St. Joseph's in Sarnia, I had recently been asked to come and take on the position of manager of spiritual care. Here I was in this leadership position, not exactly like the situation in the parish that I just described. But I was feeling challenged. How does one lead? That's still a question for me. I still feel like I'm learning very much about it. And the VP in that hospital that was responsible for the different areas in which pastoral care was kind of under the umbrella had a meeting not long after I began working there, and I thought, oh, okay, this will be interesting. The Roman Catholic setting, of course, is guided by Christian principles, and this particular VP, I think, had been maybe listening to Jesus, because at this meeting, she said, after some introductions, now I want to invite each one of you to say something to me about how I may be of service to you. She was a new VP. And each of us went around the room and offered, I can't remember what I said at that time, but the question was what stuck with me over the years since. What she did was she invited us, instead of receiving direction, which is what that fellow who came to my office early on in my ministry wanted. He wanted directive leadership, and directive leadership is good and it's necessary in a crisis. Somebody needs to take a hold of the reins and guide the operation when things are everything is in turmoil. But for the most part, leadership is not about that. What she did, Beth, this VP, did when she invited us to talk to her about what we expected of her as a servant leader, was she invited us to think about leadership rather than just to receive it. She invited us to think about what leadership might mean in our own contexts as managers or leaders of health units. And the conversation shifted. And since then, I've been convinced that this model of Jesus, that I am among you as one who serves, is the true model for leadership. There's a leadership crisis, maybe even a vacuum in the world right now, and we're seeing the poverty of authoritarian leadership. And I'm convinced that what Jesus has to teach us about leadership, which is that it is at its heart service, is the key to releasing the gifts of leadership of all people, rather than having people be subservient and think that they are merely followers. Once each of us realizes our gifts and that our gifts are best used in service to one another, then leadership becomes something that all of us can practice. I hope those thoughts might inspire you in your call to leadership in our church and in the situations where you live your lives. Please pray with me for a moment. Oh God, when we are called into positions of responsibility in our lives, that may be as parents or grandparents, or in roles of leadership that we take on, help us to attend to and to follow the way of Jesus, who teaches us that as he is among us as one who serves, so we are to be servants to one another. Have a wonderful day, friends, and we'll see you again a little bit before the new year.